So by now, everyone has seen it. The video where an inmate is approached by a dog, which for some strange reason was put in with them, in Genesee County Jail. The inmate reacts by slapping the dog once to get it away from him. They are saying he assaulted the dog. They are saying he attacked it. But from all available evidence, he only struck the dog because it got very close to him. And obviously, he does not want a dog in his personal space.
Would you look at that? He's repeating the same garbage excuse, that is, it got close to him so it's justify. No, it's not. Once again, using your trash-ass logic, it's justifiable to hit a kid because they got close. Now let's, if he's gonna make new excuses, or repeat the same ones.
Before we get into that, this is the bottom line. The inmate did not attack the dog, he reacted to its actions. Attacking is what dogs almost always do to people in these scenarios. But simply because the dog wasn't attacking him, does not mean he has to allow it anywhere near his personal space.
So basically he uses the dog attack people excuse, but then uses the just because the dog wasn't going to attack doesn't mean he has to allow it near him excuse. In that case he could have moved it away easily without harming it, and considering it was small, he could have done it easily. But no, he chose violence. And no, he did attack it. An animal walking up to you is not an excuse, you fucking dumbass.
This seems to be the crux of it. Although we're not confined in a cell when it happens, we can all relate to wanting a dog out of our personal space. Many of us have experienced
the intrusiveness of the dog.
That only relates to people who dislike dogs, or are afraid of them. Also, that applies to anything that's in your space, but that doesn't justify hitting a cat or a kid because they were in your space. And once again, all the dog fucking did was walk up to the criminal, and he knew the dog was approaching him, and he could have moved it away without harming it, or move away from it. And if he wasn't a piece of shit, he would have done those things, but he's a piece of shit, so yeah.
Prison guard dogs have attacked 295 US inmates since 2017. Unfortunately, this article is behind a paywall, and I can't even seem to click on the trial option. But never the matter. Although the dog in this case was a fairly small one, I think it is important to remember that this is the same animal that is used as a weapon by police forces.
I think you forgot to mention that the dog was a comfort dog, and not a guard one. Also, dogs being used as weapons from police forces does not excuse what the criminal did, especially when that was an entirely different type of dog. So let me get this straight, you acknowledge that the dog wasn't going to attack, but then use prison guard dogs as a way to justify what the criminal did. This shows your logic is shit. And that you're pulling stuff out of your ass.
So what is it that dog nutters are failing to mention this time around?
For starters, there is very little in the way of blaming the owner or owners, or, in this case, the handler or handlers. Same difference. Whomever is ultimately in charge of this particular dog, a so-called comfort or therapy dog, is receiving surprisingly little in the way of backlash for their decision to put the dogs in a holding cell with potentially violent inmates. So that is the first thing to take notice of.
Look, like I said before, I agree it's a bad idea to put an animal in a cell with potentially dangerous individuals, and the handlers definitely deserve criticism. But like I also said before, that doesn't make the criminal blameless in any way, as his actions aren't his alone.
The second thing we're not hearing out of the mouths of these dog simps is that dogs can detect an evil person. If you watch the footage, you will indeed see that this dog was casually approaching the inmate before it was struck.
Now what the fuck does that have to do with the criminal hitting the dog? Are you using this to say people who say dogs detect bad people are wrong? In that case, you're the one who's actually wrong, because when people say dogs can detect a bad person, they don't mean a dog can automatically know a person is bad or not. They mean a dog can sense a person's body language, tone, mood, etc., and that dog didn't have time to do that before getting hit. Also, the fact you're using this as your second point just shows that you're pulling stuff out of your ass.
Here is an example of a dog worshipper who is so committed to believing that dogs can do no wrong that they told me I must be a criminal. This, by the way, is after they saw a video where I detailed almost all of my negative dog experiences. This I did in hopes of better explaining to people why I hate dogs as much as I do. However, it is like trying to convince a sociopath to care about the destruction and human misery they left behind in their wake, in the process of getting something they wanted. Your words are wasted on them, and you will never reach their heart, because they have none. They are only capable of showing or expressing compassion, sympathy, remorse, pity, empathy, or understanding towards dogs, but seldom, if ever, towards fellow humans.
Oh, shut up, clown. Don't act like you care about humans when you're defending a criminal who harmed a person. It's like convincing a sociopath. Very ironic thing to say when you're defending someone who harmed another person. Now I would say that it was wrong for that person to say that just because you explained why you hate dogs, but considering how much of a criminal apologist you're being right now, that person may have not been completely wrong.
Actually, there is one other thing I wanted to address as well. I have seen a few nutters try to say that the therapy dog got hit for simply walking up to the guy, but dogs don't simply walk up to people. I don't know why it is so difficult to get nutters to understand that many of us do not want to be approached by any dog, for any reason.
Holy fucking shit, you're just repeating the same points that I called out. Anyway, if you actually see the video, that's literally all what the dog did. So saying dogs don't just walk up is a crappy excuse. Oh, and using your shitty logic, it's justifiable for that guy to kick a cat because he didn't want it near him. And I know I said this multiple times, but he could have moved the dog away without harming it, or move away from it, but since he's a piece of shit he didn't do those things. Anyway, I'm going to end the video, so goodbye.